Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how I edit guitars. Alright, so I edit guitars as I'm tracking, and here is an old session that I did a couple of years ago, and I just opened up the session now and I left it the way it is because I want to show you how I do it, how I go about editing guitars, and I'll talk a little bit about how I also track guitars. So you can see over here we have a left and a right guitar. We have I track with a DI and then with an amp, and I group them together, and then I mute the DI. So the DI, I rarely use the DI. I don't really reamp, or I don't really use amp sims afterwards. I want to find the tone of the guitar and commit and then move on. So the reason I use the DI is just simply for editing. And that's it. I just use it to edit because I want the guitars to be really tight and to the grid. So during the process of recording, the drums already have been edited. I edit the drums before I start recording guitar so that everything can be in the grid. So the drums are already edited. So let's look at the kick. Okay, so you can see the kick is pretty much on the beat, and then I also have my click going. So that's my setup, and then I keep this to slip editing so that I can zoom in and pull things in and out. And then my nudge here, what I do is I keep it at minutes and seconds, and I have it at 10 milliseconds. So then if there is a section that the guitar player, either the whole section is, let's say, early or late, I can select it, and then I use on the keyboard, I use the comma to nudge it to the left, or the period or the dot to nudge it to the right. Okay, so for example, let's say that the guitar player is playing over here, and you can see that right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you can see that the guitar player here, okay, he's in front of the beat. So I will have to nudge this back, and I use the comma. I will select it, and then I use the comma to just put the transient there. And if the transients are too low, I can change the waveform. And the way I do that is holding Option Command. I'm using a Mac. Option Command, and then I use the left and right brackets on the keyboard to either make the waveform smaller. Now I'm not changing anything. All I'm doing is just changing the view. I'm not doing clip gain. Okay, I actually have clip gain turned off here, just so I can see better when I'm editing. But I'm not clip gaining here. All I'm doing is just changing the view so I can see the transients better. And then let's say that I have it like this, and I want to go back to the default. Just hold down Control, Option, Command, all three at the same time, and then hit the left bracket, and that puts you back to default. All right, so let me make this just a little bit bigger just so you can see. So I'm looking at this transient right here. I'm not looking at this down here because you really can't see it on a distorted guitar. You really can't see the transients because there's just so much saturation going on here. And compression, so it's really hard to see it. But on a DI, you can clearly see that. See, the transient is right there, and the grid is here. So I can probably nudge this back just a little bit right there. And then this one, it's okay. Remember, you don't want to make it perfect, but you do want to make it tight. Okay. Next, let's look at some of the edits that I did. And again, I'm editing this as I'm tracking. Okay? And what I do is I track in sections, and I'll track the left, and then I'll go and I'll track the right. I use the same guitar amps, the same settings, everything. I don't change anything. And I don't track one guitar all the way to the end and then go back and then record. No, I record everything in sections, left and right. So you're going to hear that if I play this, you're going to hear on the left side, because this is pan hard left, you're going to see on the left side, you're going to hear it. And then if I play this one, you're going to hear it on the right. So when I'm tracking, what I usually do is I'll have the guitar player towards my left, and I'll track the left first so that he can hear the his tone and coming out of the left speaker. And then when I track the right, it's on the other speaker, but he'll hear what he already played, and that helps him. That helps their timing also. So anyway, that's just a side thing. But let's go back to editing. So let's look at this over here. And this part is simple because it's just really a cut. So right over here, let me solo this. Right over here, you see all of this. That's like the pick attack and the scrape before the transient hits. So I can capture that and leave it like this. And let's take a listen. Let me play it again. Okay, and that actually sounds good. If I want to make it a little tighter, I can probably put it there. And you have to use your ears also for this. That's much tighter. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'll take a listen to the right. And you see this over here? This is the actual guitar. And here's the DI. So this is probably like the hiss off the amp, because there's no hiss on the DI. But here there's information. So I will, if I mute it here, okay, let's see how that sounds. Okay, that sounds good, but look, he's early here. So I will either select and hold it and drag it, or I can just hit the comma and bring it back a little bit. And I'll probably leave it like that. Let me play this by itself. Okay, and now let me play them together. There we go. And that sounds tight. Okay, and I got the click going also, just so I can hear the tightness, and I want to hear the downbeat, and that helps too. Okay, so let's move on. Now here's my first edit, and you notice the intro of the song is here. So here's the main riff. So let's take a listen of what's going on here. I'm just going to delete my crossfades, and let's see what's going on here. Okay. If I pull this back, you see the information here. Okay. But then here, see here he's early. Here he's on time. Sorry. Here he's on time. Here's a little early. Here's he's early. And here he's early. Okay, so I can go ahead and cut them up if I want to. And since this is the intro of the song, I will probably do that. So let me cut it over here. And I'm going to bring this a little bit maybe there. Then I'm going to crossfade here, and I'm going to keep the original pick attack here. And let me crossfade this here. And I'm going to bring it to maybe around there. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, that's not bad. And then everything else looks okay. So now let's go to this one. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. All right, so I will probably make my cut here. Okay. And here he's a little bit early. Okay. Here, let me zoom in because I don't want to zoom in too much. Okay. And again, this is not an exact science because you still want to keep the performance. But because this is the beginning of the song and it's on the downbeat, I really want this to be a good, strong hit. So I may just move this a little bit. Maybe there. Yeah, let's see, and then we'll put that there. Okay, and then now here, see all of this, he's really like late here. So I may just move this back. Okay, I may move this one back a little bit. Now let me fix the crossfades. Put it there. Bring this back. put a crossfade right there. Okay. And let's take a listen on both of them. Okay, so that's the first hit. So you want that to be tight. Okay, so let's zoom this in. Let's get rid of the edits I did. Okay, and then here, I probably want to move this a little bit here. This looks good. Okay, and let's do the crossfade here. So I'll probably put it maybe there. And let's put it right there, and let's take a listen to this. Okay, it sounds tight. I'm just going to bring this back down a little bit. And I'm just going to eyeball it here real quick. I'm just looking at the transients of the DIs on both of them. Okay, this one is a little late, but that's okay. Here's a little late too. I can probably fix that, but let's listen to it. Remember, the drums are not mixed or anything. Those are just the raw drums. Okay. So let's look at some other edits. Okay. Here's some palm mute. So let's look at this. I'm going to solo this. I'm going to get rid of the click too for a second, and let's take a listen. Okay. That sounds pretty good. Let's see if I did this crossfade pretty good. Yeah, I would probably see this. So I would probably put it maybe, I don't want that because then you're going to get that information and listen to that. It doesn't sound that bad. Okay, so I can leave it there. Again, it comes down to using your ears and how it sounds. So this, let me zoom in. This may look wrong, but when you listen to it, I mean, it doesn't sound, as long as the timing is good. Let's listen to it with the other guitars. Okay, there is a little delay somewhere. Let's see. Okay, so let me pull it back a little bit. Okay, that sounds better. And let's hear it with in the context of the mix of the band. Yeah, and that sounds tight. Cool. Let's take a listen here. Okay, when you're tracking, don't be afraid to capture one palm mute, and that's probably what I did here. I had the guitar player play this over, and I just punched in here and punched out. Maybe the palm muting here wasn't as strong. Let's listen. Let's listen to it together. And with the band. Okay. So here, okay. And then again, editing guitars and in this video, all I'm showing you here is my process, how I do it. And there's really no tricks, no nothing. It's just a matter of practice and just using your ears. The only advice I would give is try not to cut the transients when you are doing your crossfades. Like I wouldn't put it like right there. But then again, it may sound good, but I would just put it right before it. And the same thing over here. Look at this one. See? I would probably put it, see how that one, I would probably put it like right there. Let me just go back to where it was. Yeah. Okay. And then don't be afraid. See, look at all these edits I did. But then it sounds really tight. And then all these edits over here too. But again, I don't record the whole thing first and then come back for the other side and record it. I record it all in sections. And on the side, if you look over here, see, I like to label or put as many markers as I possibly can. I like to do that because then I can go back to certain sections and just take a look at it. Or when I'm tracking, I like to track in sections. Okay, let's go to where the the chorus. Let's listen to the chorus. All right, and you can see this. I'm just going to take this. I don't want to move things around, but you're going to notice that there's, a good amount of editing, especially here. There's a lot of editing there. Okay, well, let's take a listen to this. See what's going on here. Okay, so as you can hear, that is very intense. Okay, and look at all these edits that we did. Okay, but when he recorded on the right side, okay, it's left alone. So if you notice, okay, I tend to do probably more editing on the left than on the right, because once we got the left tight and we play the right, as long as it sounds tight enough, I leave it alone. So again, this video, there's not much to do. I mean, I'm not using plugins. I'm not doing anything. It's just basic editing. And if I can just leave you with this, it would be to just, when you're editing, let me put this, when you're editing guitars, look for the DI. Use the DI as a guide. Don't use the actual track, but use the DI as a guide. And then just place it a little bit before the transient. Put your cut before the transient. Just put it like right there. Just put it right before your transient. And that's it. That's about it. Okay. Like I said, there's not much going on here. Just practice editing guitars. If you play guitar yourself, try practicing tracking in sections, and then edit it. Then go back and edit it. But don't be afraid to edit. Look at all these edits. And then when I'm ready to mix, I bounce this. I commit this. And I bounce it. And then that's it. So I hope this video was helpful. Record as if you're mixing, and mix as if you're mastering. So when you are recording, get it right at the source. Make sure that your guitars are tight, because to fix this later in the mix is much, much harder. So until next time, happy recording and happy mixing.